Hey y'all, Matt Payne here from Amber Pass. I'm very grateful to be spending some time with you today looking at ways that you can use advanced technology to give yourself time back. Time to do things that fulfill you, time to spend in the community doing things that got you involved with your business here in the first place. Today, we're going to be looking at a topic that I hear from a lot of wellness owners and organizations that there's a time consuming activity, and that's refreshing your website. Today, we're going to be experimenting with a simulated website that we created for a practice called Sacred Roots Wellness. And the owner of Sacred Roots Wellness is someone that we created called Serena. So, we're going to be helping Serena build a new version of her website in a modern look and feel, maintaining her voice, keeping true to her values and her mission. But we're going to do that with a tool called Claude from Anthropic. And it's going to walk us through exactly what to do. And in a matter of minutes, we're going to prepare a new refreshed website. To do that, we're going to do three simple things. We're going to give Claude the context of the existing website. We're going to ask for some enhancements, things like new photos that we're also going to include. And then we're going to get Claude to actually build those things for us and to wrap up with a backlog of activities to take forward, such as launching the website and getting it into your web hosting tool, etc. So in those three tasks, we're going to cover those today in a matter of minutes. I'll provide all of the prompts that we use today in the description of the video, so no need to take notes there. They'll all be right in the description. And looking forward to walking through this one with you. Take care. All right, let's get right into it. So as you can see, I've entered into Claude. You can get through Claude on the web at claude.ai or through a desktop app like I've got set up here. So it's a simple chat interface with Claude. Before I put anything into Claude, I want to show you the starting point that we're working with. As I mentioned, we created this fictitious Sacred Roots wellness site to give you an idea of the power of these tools. So this is the current website, the before, created by this business owner, Serena. And as you can tell, it's fully functional, got a nice layout, tells a little bit about the organization, her studio, and the setup. Things that are happening at the studio, some upcoming classes, customer testimonials, client testimonials, very important, signing up for the newsletter, and some social links, etc. So again, very functional. And what Serena's looking to achieve is a little bit of an uplift, modernization, a bit of polish on her site. So I'm going to pop back over into Claude. And again, we're starting with basic information about the website to orient Claude on the starting point. So let's get going there. I'm going to get the prompt in. And while we're doing the prompt, I'm also going to upload the existing website information. Again, this is a simple use case, so a pretty straightforward HTML page that contains the website information. I'm going to add that into the context here for Claude, along with some new photos for Claude to consider. So what Claude now has is the existing website information and some new photos that we would like as part of the new updated refresh version of the site. So I'm going to kick that off. This initial prompt is simply asking Claude to take a look at the website and make sure that it can reference what is currently there from a starting point. These are little updates that Claude provides along the way to keep you updated on progress. It lets you know that it's continuing to evaluate and to read, which is helpful if you're not sure what's going on or if it's still working or if it might be hung. So I like to just let it run. Okay, so Claude's come back already and has said, hey, we've got an idea of the current layout. It's already starting to give a little bit of feedback. Again, great that it's getting ahead of us and being proactive with some of the feedback. So for the next prompt, we're going to say, hey, we would love for your help in taking a look at improvement areas. Before we change anything on the website, let's at least start with things that Claude would recommend changing. The other thing we want to do is, again, remind Claude that we're not trying to make any changes yet. We're still in that kind of design phase. So I'm going to kick that off. So the way that Claude works in this case is it's got a lot of historical information about what good, what great looks like, what's very engaging, what gets people's attention, and it's using that to evaluate the Sacred Roots Wellness site. All right, so it's already starting to give feedback grouped by the areas that we had recommended or requested. What's that initial experience like, the first 3 seconds? A little bit about some of the navigation, feedback on the offerings and way those are presented to the potential clients or customers. A little bit of, hey, this is working well, which is nice. Some feedback on areas of improvement of where some of the focus is getting lost. So again, really good feedback and exactly what we asked Claude to do, which is give us some honest feedback and let's go from there. So now this is where we get into a little bit more about describing to Claude what we actually are trying to achieve with this refresh. So I'm going to give Claude a prompt to start to consider the changes to make and to do so in a way that categorizes the changes into 2 buckets. Some high priority changes that Claude would recommend we focus on first, and then a second wave of changes that we'll make after that. I love this rule of thumb too here that we've included in the prompt. Keep it in my words, my photos, and my offerings. That's very important for an owner like Serena to make sure that her message, her mission is not getting lost as part of this refresh process. We'll kick that off. Okay, great. So Claude has come back almost immediately and categorized the high impact changes. It's starting to give a bit more detail about exactly what it's planning to do. Great opportunity here if we see something we don't like to give Claude some feedback and say, hey, you know what? That looks pretty good, but I want to make some changes. Then it groups into this second bucket. It looks like another 3 areas considered in a nice to have polish mode. All right, so let's get into the actual first set of changes that have been prioritized by Claude. We've taken a look and said, hey, this is good enough. Let's get going. So this next prompt is going to instruct Claude to get going on the first phase of changes. Don't worry about trying to capture these prompts. They're below the video in the description and available verbatim as I've just put in here today. So we'll get that kicked off. I've also asked Claude, again, for the purposes of showing the before and after, if Claude can prepare a file, essentially the website file, that I can view on my local machine and compare it to the existing site that's already live. So now we can again see that Claude is working, is taking notice to our request to keep the feel, the essence of the Sacred Roots Wellness brand in the refresh, and it's working to produce the new website based on that guidance. Claude's now informed us that the build is in progress, has given us an update. Things are progressing. And again, we continue to get these behind the scenes looks from Claude when it's providing us feedback on what's going on. If you click on this little arrow to the right, you can see heaps more information about behind the scenes what's actually happening. I very rarely look at that because a lot of it is technical things that just happen to as part of the process of developing the refresh website. All right, so what I can see here is that Claude has already completed the refresh of the web page. It's generated it, and it's told me here that it's done. Now Claude is going through and giving me a bit of an update on what was completed as part of the redesign. Very good. So as you can tell, the way that the Claude desktop is set up, it provides this preview window over here on the right, so you can start to get an idea of what the website's going to look like. Now, I can also download, just clicking this download and open. What it's going to do is it's going to bring down that web page and open it in my browser. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right. So again, just to orient the before, this was the page before. We supplied the existing page information, some new photos, and in a matter of minutes, this is the new look and feel. I love this landing spot up front. It just draws you in. Really beautiful use of the new pictures here. Right up front, you can drill down to explore more or get going on a first class. I love that idea of getting right into action. A little bit more about some of the classes, very welcoming landing spot here. It's also brought forward some of the information about Serena, really making it personal to her message and her mission. I love that. A little bit about the different types of activities and the offerings that are provided. So if you remember over here, similar offers, but a little bit more, you get lost a little bit in this type of map. Here, I like the way that they've made it a little bit more inviting. We've maintained the upcoming offerings, which is great, and some of those client and customer testimonials, which is lovely. So in that initial pass, I think you already sense the power of the uplift and how it's still true to Serena and the Sacred Roots Wellness studio. All right, so let me pop back over here into Claude and give it a little bit of feedback. So again, that was the first wave or first phase of updates that we wanted to work on. Now we're going to see about the second group of changes, those polish items that we previously discussed with Claude. Again, reminding Claude, hey, let's keep the voice consistent. Okay, I'm going to get that kicked off. If you remember down here, as you go down, one of the things I noticed in looking through these studio happenings, the look and feel of those kind of jumps out. And I noticed over here in the updates that Claude was providing that it was actually going through some of the event flyers. So I'm curious to see if it's going to look to change that to make it more integrated with the overall refresh site. It looks like Claude's making some progress on the flyers and going through some of the polish updates on the template. I'm still just blown away by the autonomy of some of these tools now to work. I have to give very little prompting or very little instruction on how to do things and really focus on what I would like to achieve, the outcome that I'm looking for. And it's a really powerful shift in thinking. All right. So it looks like Claude has come back with the second pass through on the website, going through again and providing more details on exactly what changed. Touched on the testimonials and updated those a bit. Cleaned up the events section as we suspected, and doing a bit of an overall sweep in some of the branding and messaging. Great. So again, I'm going to download that and open it, and it's popped up here. So again, we can see good progress here. I love the way that the brand lands, the messaging, the warmth of Sacred Roots Wellness. So great job here. Nice. So yeah, it has brought up the upcoming events. I like the way that those have been restructured. Some links to save your spots. Very good. Fantastic outcomes in just a matter of minutes. So let's go over here and wrap things up with Claude, give a little bit of feedback. And then the other thing I'd love to do with this session is to talk about what's next beyond this. So we've essentially created a lot of the way that the look and feel of the website. To then progress this into a live site would be some extra steps that we're requesting Claude to help us with, at least build those up into a bit of a backlog that we can consider for the next wave of activities. Maybe we'll cover that in the next tutorial. Who knows? But either way, and many of you are using different types of website creation tools. A lot of times those tools will allow importing things that you've created externally and updating them from there. So that's certainly a way to do it as well. And you can collaborate with Claude directly and say, hey, here's my setup specific to my business and the tools that I'm currently using. How can I better use them, or how can I use them more efficiently? Great. So we've got an update here from Claude, wrapping up. I love this kind of friend to friend. Here's what I'm thinking. And again, a backlog of items. So it's given us some additional ideas to consider, wiring up the booking, getting that connected into a scheduling system, event details, class schedule, make it online. It's exactly what we talked about. The steps required to launch it, which again are very simple and straightforward using a tool like Claude, and a few other areas. Wow. All right, that's going to wrap up this part. Thank you for walking through what it looks like to rebuild this website, rebuild the Sacred Roots Wellness website for Serena in a matter of minutes. Looking forward to connecting soon. Take care. Hey team, thank you for walking through that experience of recreating Serena's website for the Sacred Roots Wellness Studio. As you can see, a product like Claude is a great way to give yourself time back. I know that you've already put in a lot in your communities, in your business, and with these tools and some simple prompts, you can really get ahead of some of these ongoing activities in your business. If you'd like to look at more ways that technology like this can help you in your business, I'd love to explore that with you. Let's meet up for a coffee or tea one day. You can reach me at matt@amberpaths.com, or you can find us at amberpaths.com. And again, check out the prompts in the description. I'm also looking forward to the next episode of our tutorials here, where we'll be walking through how to take something like we created today and actually launching it into the public domain with very little technical know-how needed. So thanks again for your time, and take care.